For this video, I want to show you how to make this farmhouse style mail and key organizer. I started with some signs from the Dollar Tree. These were the beach signs that look like planked wood. They don't have any glitter, so they're a very flat surface, which is great for when you paint. You're not going to have the texture of the glitter. So I'm going to start by giving them a base coat of just a gesso primer. To kind of get rid of the design that's on there. You can still see it through the first layer of the primer, so I will do a second coat. So here it is with a second coat of primer, and you can still see the wording a little bit, but that's okay. Once we get the final paint scheme on there, you won't really see that. So I'm going to have a little jar, a mason jar that I'm going to put flowers in. So I'm just going to cover the rim of that with some of my Dollar Tree twine. And I'm just going to hot glue that around and just wrap it. Here you go. And I used a lighter, just moving it really quickly around the surface of the twine to get rid of those frayed edges. And it turned out really well, I think. Then I have this organizer bin from the Dollar Tree and these self-adhesive hooks, and I'm going to spray paint them using this Rust-Oleum hammered finish primer, and it is in the color brown, and it will give sort of a textured finish, as you can see there on the lid of the can. So back to my signs. All of my primer has dried, and now I'm trying to figure out how I want the finished piece to look. So I thought about having it look like the planks were going up and down, but that was really too big for the space I was going to put it. So I decided I would have them going from side to side and just sort of interlock the two signs together. And it actually did fit perfectly together. So I just gently sort of put the pieces together. And to really hold it, I just found some scrap wood in my garage, and I'm going to glue that along the back. So here you see the back. I've fitted the two pieces together, and I just really gently pressed the two together to kind of interlock those grooves. And then I take my, well, you can see it holds together really well with that. But just to make sure it stays together, again, I have my scrap wood, and I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue, or you could use E6000 and glue that across. So then I did a coat of, it's Coffee Latte from Folk Art, and just sort of a dry brush on the top of the gesso primer. And now I'm going to add some more colors to start getting the look I want. I wanted sort of a barnwood look on the finished piece. So I'm adding some more paints to my palette. I again have some Folk Art in burnt umber, and then just some black, and then the white is actually Waverly chalk paint in Plaster. And I'm just kind of mixing the colors, very dry, and just brushing them on, and then going back and sort of really blending it in to the piece to get the look that I want. And I just kind of keep working and blending and adding different colors and mixing my colors differently to get the look that I want until I'm satisfied with it. So I'm going to spend more time in the video here just to let you see what I did, but basically that's it. I used those colors, the Waverly chalk in Plaster, Folk Art black, Coffee Latte, and burnt umber, and just kept mixing and blending in the colors. So you can see here I've kind of mixed the colors and it's looking a little bit more gray that I've added. And now I've started putting in the groove lines. So I thought using a ruler would be helpful to help me make my lines. Unfortunately, my ruler was not really flat, so the paint was just getting up underneath it, and it was really kind of more of a mess than giving me a nice line. So I decided I would just freehand it. So I'm taking my thinnest paintbrush, dipping it in the cap of my black paint. Then I take it over to my paper plate, and I'm just twirling the brush as I'm pulling it across the plate to sort of just get a thin line of paint and making my brush into a tip. And then just going across, following sort of what would be the lines if these were actual separate planks of wood, and using the sign itself as my guide. And just going from one side to the other and getting more paint as I need it. And the line initially is like just too dark. It doesn't really look natural or real in my opinion. So I started working on how to blend it in, make it look more like it was really a line, of a separate piece. So what I started finding is if the paint was wet, it would be a little easier for me to blend it. So I started dipping my brush into some water and then pulling the black and going over to my sign and making my line. And that worked a little bit better. Then I would take my bigger brush that was basically dry and kind of go over it to blend it in. But that wasn't working, so I thought maybe that brush should be wet. So I just kept trying some different things. What I finally found really actually worked the best was to take my bigger brush, get it wet, go over the area of my sign that I was going to put my line, and basically wet that sign, that part of the sign, and then go over it with my black, and then back again with my bigger brush and blending it in. And I just kept going back and forth between adding more black and blending it in until it gave me the look that I wanted, and I was happy with it. And I just continued that through the rest of the sign. And you'll see here in a minute the final look, which I think looks really good. I mean, I think it looks good on camera, but it looks really good in person. Unless you get like really up close to it, it looks like it is actual wood and separate pieces. So then I took the twine that was originally on the two signs, and I'm just going to use that to hang it. So I just took the two pieces and tied them together in the middle, and then I'm reattaching them to the holes on the outside of the sign or hanging. Then I took my pieces that I had spray painted and my jar, and I'm just laying everything out to see how I want it to look. The hooks are self-adhesive, but I'm gonna still use some glue. So I was trying to line up the outside hooks with the edges of the bin, and I'm going to use Gorilla Glue to make sure everything is glued down really well, the jar and the organizer tray and the hooks. So you can see they are self-adhesive. They have a little sticker backing, but I pulled the backing off and just added some of the Gorilla Glue to that to make sure that it really was stuck to my sign. And I thought about adding like the word mail or something across the front of my organizer bin. I haven't done that. I may go back. I haven't decided. I like it the way it is though. So here it is hanging on the wall beside my front door. I added some of the shred in the Dollar Tree mason jar and some Dollar Tree flowers. I've got some envelopes there, and I think it turned out really great. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.